Previously on the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast.
For August, we are going to be going boldly where no one has gone before.
Oh, okay.
So we are going to be reading Assimilation Squared, an 8-issue miniseries from IDW that originally came out in 2012, and it's a crossover between Star Trek and Doctor Who.
Cool.
So technically it is an 11th Doctor story, but I don't think it's something we would probably ever cover, during a regular Doctor cycle.
No.
So I thought it would be perfect for...
An in-between cycle, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
cool.
And now our story continues.
hello and welcome to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. This is Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London. How's it going?
Going pretty well. Happy August, Chris.
Yes, yeah.
Your football prediction from last month was eerily accurate.
Yes, it was. It was. Alas. Yeah. Yeah, Italy won, and chaos reigned, but anyway.
Yeah. It's been pretty good here, trying to enjoy the summer weather, but we've had some horrible wildfire smoke drifting down from Canada that's been blanketing Minnesota for the past week or so.
Oh, great.
So we're talking unhealthy air quality in the 150 to 160 range, which in looking at Apple's app for it, I look up London and your air quality on the index is 2, which is good. And ours is like 150, or today it's like over 100. And it's like almost apocalyptic, like brown skies. It's
right.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. I knew there had been some bushfires, to use Australian parlance, but I hadn't quite appreciated the problems it was causing down in Minnesota. Because I remember seeing the stuff in Melbourne, and I remember thinking that was going to be the story of 2020. But yeah, gosh, oh dear, Yeah, so.
Yeah, well, we have air conditioning, so we've been running that, and that seems to have helped quite a bit. But yeah, it's one of those things where you go outside and you can it smells like there's a fire nearby, and it's like, well, I think this is hundreds, if not thousands, of miles away, but you can smell it nonetheless. It's
great.
I hear you've been doing some moonlighting on some different podcasts recently.
I have, yeah. I appeared as a guest reader on Trap One's excellent coverage of the New Adventures, celebrating 30 years of the New Adventures. I don't know how that's possible. Time, that's how that's possible, Chris. But yeah. I remember reading in 1990 somebody in Doctor Who magazine saying, how is it 20 years since John Pertwee's era started? And I remember thinking, that was a very long time ago, and because it felt like a long time ago when I was 11.
And now we're 50 years on from the Pertwee era.
Yeah, we are. But yeah, so there's interesting interviews with, amongst others, John Peel and Stacey Smith.
Very cool.
It's a very long episode. I think it's like 2 and a bit hours, but it's also very good. Well worth your time. And I'm also appearing on an upcoming Justice League episode, which is a podcast run by Shag Matthews, who is a listener of ours on here. So I've popped up on his podcast to have a chat about, in fact, it's the Justice League International Bwahaha podcast. So I've popped on there to talk about a Maxwell Lord-centric episode.
Maxwell Lord is recently played by the Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal, in the Wonder Woman movie.
Yes, I haven't seen that. So
it's not something you have to rush to see, I don't think. Take your time.
That's the general vibe I've got, yeah. Yes.
So is that podcast focusing mostly on like the Keith Giffen era of the...
Yes, it is. Yeah, so the Justice League International Bwaha podcast goes from like the start of the kind of like the Justice League International era, so in 1987, and also features Justice League Europe. It's worth listening even if you're not particularly familiar with that era. I mean, obviously, if you don't like DC Comics, and you might be a little bit lost, but very fun conversation. So, yeah. Hopefully that'll be in your feeds soon.
Very cool.
And also this afternoon I've been doing a bit of recording for the episodes of Death. There's a forthcoming audio documentary that Lucas from the episodes of Death is doing on Donald Cotton. I've been doing a bit of Donald Cotton reading, so I don't know how much that is going to make his final cut, but yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I'd never really got too far with the Donald Cotton novelizations, because I remember reading those as an 11-year-old. I was a little bit thrown by them because the Romans is written as a series of letters.
The Mythmakers is told first person by Homer, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And the Gunfighters is quite meta as well. But yeah, they were very fun passages, so I think I might go back and read those.
The comics podcast ties into our selection a little bit this month in that we are reviewing a comic book miniseries, a crossover between Star Trek and Doctor Who called Assimilation Squared.
Yeah, and also Scott Tipton has been a guest on the Justice League podcast.
Oh, very cool.
So, yes, and Scott Tipton is one of the many writers.
One of the 3 writers
yes.
for this story.
Well, yeah, 3 is more than you would sometimes get, yes.
Yeah. But before we review that, we do have some Doctor Who news to talk about. So it's been announced in this past month that a couple of different press releases and panels, but I think the big story is that Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall have announced that they're both leaving the series. After there's going to be a shorter interconnected season this autumn, and then there's going to be a trio of specials. And then that's it for both the 13th Doctor and Chris Chibnall, and presumably Mandip Gill as well.
Yeah, and potentially John Bishop.
That's right. He was able to join the Comic-Con panel.
Yes.
It's kind of the first time he's, I think, appeared on screen with the rest of the cast and and Chris Chibnall. So,
how do you find his accent?
I can understand it, but
yes.
Yeah, it is a little thick.
Yeah, I mean, I think his enunciation is pretty good. So even though it is an accent that might not be super familiar with lots of people, I mean, I guess like the Beatles obviously helped with like the Puttian accent.
I think the biggest revelation for me was that the autumn season is only going to be 6 episodes. And not 8, because I had thought that we were going to get an 8-episode series, but apparently episodes 7 and 8 have been reallocated as specials 1 and 2 of the 3 that have been announced. So I guess, pandemic aside, I have to say I'm a little disappointed in the ever-shrinking episode count per season.
Yeah.
From the heyday of the Russell T Davies era, counting Christmas specials, we've gone from 14 a season to 13 to 11 and now to 6.
Yeah.
But thinking back to the RTD era, I mean, there was a couple years there where we had close to, I think counted it up, it was like close to 65 episodes of output per year across Doctor Who, The Confidentials, Totally Doctor Who, Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, and then all the random specials they would do, like the Grask or the Proms or Dreamland and stuff. So, I mean, really, when you think about it, they were rivaling the output quantity-wise of the Hartnell era.
Yeah.
Where they were on screen like something like 42 or 45 weeks out of the year.
Yeah, but also as well, I think back to the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
So,
compared to that.
Yeah. So I got like, oh, okay, well, there will be at least some Doctor Who. And also as well, the BBC has made it quite clear that they are going to be appointing a new Doctor and showrunner. Because like some people were sort of saying, it's the BBC's going to kill off Doctor Who. But because they've made it clear it's also going to be part of the BBC's centenary celebrations. So like, they're not going to do that for a show they're going to axe. I think the question I'm more interested in, rather than who's going to be the new Doctor, is who's going to be the new showrunner. I have heard rumours of Pete McTighe. I mean, I was hearing those rumours well before, or even while season 2 was airing.
I think it would be kind of interesting to have co-showrunners.
Yes.
I'm not even thinking of like the Brian Minchins or, the Julie Gardners, but more so like a true partnership, like a Terrence Dix, Barry Letts sort of deal. Like I would love to see, like, for example, Pete McTighe and maybe like Toby Whithouse, like as co-showrunners. I think you could get some really interesting things out of that sort of dynamic.
Well, Doug McKinnon seems to have suggested, I don't know how seriously, on Twitter that he'd be interested in being a co-runner.
Oh, cool.
I was listening to Strangers in Space, and they came up with what I thought was quite a wise thinking, that it's probably going to be someone you've never heard of, but then you look at their CV and realise that they've been working on Marvel and Netflix stuff, and just go, it makes sense. So, having said Pete McTighe, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if it's someone that isn't especially known to Doctor Who fans, or at least in a Doctor Who way.
Yeah, someone kind of outside coming in.
Yeah.
My wish list for the upcoming season remains unchanged. I'm still waiting for the Draconians to show up, and a visit to an underwater Sea Devil city. So those are my 2 wish list items still.
Yes.
I'm going to keep banging that drum, I think, until they happen.
I think that drum will get worn down.
Well, who knows? Maybe Big Finish will put something out in that vein. We'll see.
Yeah, well, I've been waiting for the Bandrels to come back since 1987 when I saw that episode for the first time.
It sounded like, too, from their announcement that with this interconnected fall season that Jodie and Mandip, so, the Doctor and Yaz, have been traveling together for quite some time before Dan shows up. So I'm hoping that there's a big space in there for, Big Finish and future novels and stuff to fill that out. Because with Jodie Whittaker's, output as the 13th Doctor, just seems like she doesn't have quite as many stories as some of the other new, I mean, certainly more than Eccleston, but not as many as some of the other doctors before her. So I'm hoping that her era kind of gets fleshed out a little bit more through the extended media.
Yeah, I mean, particularly if this interconnected thing is generally one long story without any gaps. So I wonder whether it's going to be a bit kind of like Key to Time kind of thing.
And that hasn't stopped novels being set in between.
That's what I mean. It's Key to Time rather than, say, Torchwood's sort of...
Sure.
The
Children of Earth,
Children of Earth. I was thinking Children of Men. I was like, no, that's something else. Because I like having gaps, because some interesting things can flourish in gaps. So.
A couple of other new tidbits of news that have come out recently. So Maze Theory, so the developers that had previously put out the Edge of Time VR game and the Lonely Assassin mobile game, they've put out a new trailer for the Edge of Reality, which is their game that's coming out on PC, Steam, Switch, Xbox One, and then the Series X and S, and then PS4 and PS5. So really every platform.
Yes.
But they have a new trailer come out, and it features the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Weeping Angels, and then the 13th and 10th Doctors, with both David Tennant and Jodie Whittaker reprising their roles. So that is due out on September 30th.
Very cool. It's made me think that because like any new actor coming into the part of the Doctor will have to probably sign something to say, yeah, I agree to be in computer games or something like that, or at least have the option of, which does make me think that, because like I've been hearing things of Dev Patel and stuff, and it makes me think that it is going to be a lesser known actor, as well as also the BBC's budget situation, I think, would help dictate that. But I would still love it to be Lydia West if it's not going to be Ollie Alexander.
I had heard Michaela Cole was potentially up for the role, but then she was recently announced as being in Black Panther 2. So she might be busy now.
Yes, that might have ruled her out. But yeah, I would love it to be Lydia West. I think she'd be fantastic.
And this is one of the great, I think, moments in Doctor Who fandom is, kind of this between eras thing where the possibilities open up and it really could go any one of 1,000 different directions. So it's a fun time.
Yeah, though I have this feeling that the BBC might play in their minds, or in some minds, safe. And I suspect that we are going to have, I think we might just kind of go back for a white, male, straight acting Doctor.
It would be interesting to see. I don't think they're going to go back that direction quite yet. I'd give it another 2 or 3 incarnations, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
I can see why you might say that, but
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that they'll take a different approach, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hopeful too, but I just get used to getting disappointed. It's the hope that kills you.
And then finally, real quick, some book news.
Yes.
The Age of Chaos, which is the Panini graphic novel, came out last month in July. And this month we have the two Essential Terrence Dicks Target novelization volumes coming out, as well as the Missy comic miniseries from Titan wrapping up. So some fun extended media stuff out there.
Cool.
All right, so I think that brings us to Show and Tell.
Yeah.
And Chris, you are up.
Yes. And so staying in the wonderful world of Doctor Who publishing, let's talk about Living Paintings, which is it's a charity that helps blind and partially sighted people see in their own way illustrations from kind of like picture books using Braille and the like. And a Doctor Who fan called Louis from Bradford has been doing a crowdfunder with help from Living Paintings to get a Doctor Who version off the ground. And he's had backing from Tom Baker, Sylvester McCoy, David Bradley, and some chap called Chris Chibnall. And yeah, I just think it's just a brilliant idea. It's such a fantastic thing, bringing Doctor Who, ever closer to people.
Yeah, I think it's a great campaign and well worth supporting, and I think they've reached their goal at this point, but
they've got a stretch.
Yeah, they've got stretch goals and stuff now, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think getting Doctor Who in a format that more people can experience it and getting it out there helps increase the audience and fans, and really helps bring a great franchise to folks who might not otherwise be able to experience it in the same way. And all for that. It's exciting stuff, and just a shame that it's taken this long to get off the ground. With all of the Target novelizations, for example, getting audiobook adaptations, that I think has helped accessibility quite a bit, but there's still so much of Doctor Who that's not accessible to non-sighted folks. So, very cool.
All right. How about you, Matt?
So I've got more of a show today, and I don't think I've talked about this on the show before, and my apologies if I had, but we've recorded a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
But I have a prop replica to talk about today. It is from the 12th Doctor episode Flatline, and it is a full-size model of the Siege Mode TARDIS. You can hear it here. Right. Quite substantial.
Yes.
It's a cube. It's about 3 inches on each side.
Okay.
And it's blue and gray in color. It's weathered, and I think it's a block of wood originally. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's got Gallifreyan diagrams and tiny wording all around it, which is really cool. And it's made by Rubber Toe Replicas out of Cardiff. And they would make a couple of hundred or a couple thousand extra of various props. And some would be used on the show, and some would be sold to fans. And for the longest time, I had this, and I couldn't find it in my house. And then I remembered that it came in a small black box, which I had positioned under my Dr. Fate action figure, so it would appear that he was levitating. And so I finally found it the other day, and I was like, oh, I don't think I've talked about this on the show. So it's, there you go, a Siege Mode TARDIS.
Cool.
AKA a paperweight.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that's very cool. Marvelous.
So this month we are reviewing Doctor Who Star Trek crossover event, and I wanted to spend a couple of minutes just kind of talking about our history with Star Trek. So I guess for me, my first Star Trek anything was seeing Star Trek 4, the one with the whales, in the theaters when I was 6 years old. My aunt took me to see it, and then from there, a friend of mine from elementary school got me into the Next Generation when I was in 5th grade, and I started watching mid-season 5 and would get caught up on nightly reruns and syndication. And then by the time Borg had aired near the end of that season, I knew it was a very big deal because I had seen Best of Both Worlds, so I knew who the Borg were. And that same year, I attended my very first science fiction convention of any kind, a Star Trek convention in December of 91. It was the 25th anniversary tour, and I got to see William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy live on stage in Minneapolis with about 5,000 other fans.
Wow.
So it was kind of a fun experience, and from there I got into DS9 and Voyager and way into the novels and technical manuals and chronologies and all that stuff. But by the time the Doctor Who movie came out in 96, my interest in Trek was waning, and I think Doctor Who appealed to the uber nerd in me, in part because it was 3 years older than Star Trek and had an even more complicated backstory and history to dive into.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my history with the franchise.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
How about me? So I have very hazy memories of watching the occasional Kirk era episode, but I do remember watching some of the original crew movies. And our local TV station at the time showed the free movies that were available for broadcast on subsequent weekends. And yeah, I enjoyed that. And yeah, when I saw Voyage Home, I remember enjoying that very much. But I also always regarded Star Trek with a little bit of suspicion, just kind of particularly when Next Generation came, because I was thinking, oh, this is replacing Doctor Who. And in my head, because like the BBC spent the autumn of 1990, at least in my memory, showing Star Trek Next Generation, because that was when they started broadcasting it, a little while after it had started in America. And that first season, it's rough. I remember hearing word at school that it was getting a bit better, and we started watching it again about 3 or 4 episodes before the Best of Both Worlds.
Okay.
We're throwing the Best of Both Worlds around as if everyone knows what that is. It's a very pivotal Borg two-parter.
Spanning seasons 3 and 4.
Yes, or spanning a week in the UK.
A very long summer in the US, I heard.
Yes. It was Star Trek Generation was on Wednesdays, 6 o'clock, and Deep Space Nine was on Thursdays, from memory. Whilst I enjoyed Next Gen, Deep Space Nine was the one that I really enjoyed. Because it was a bit darker and grittier, and I remember going on holiday to Canada in about I think in about 96, and catching an episode of Voyager which hadn't started airing in the UK yet, and my jaw just dropping, because I'd imagined that Voyager would be carrying on the darker themes, because I knew the vague premise that this is a crew millions of light years away from home, and I thought they'd all be having to kind of scrap to survive. And then I saw Neelix.
More like the Battlestar reboot you were imagining.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, oh, well, this is not what I was hoping for. So, yeah, I would not describe myself as a Star Trek fan.
Okay.
But, I mean, I have read a couple of books, and I do have all of the original series. So I'm not a casual viewer. But I think also it's the 90s in me that kind of goes, no, I can never describe myself as a fan.
That's fair.
Yes.
I would describe myself as a fan. I've probably seen almost every episode of every series with the exception of Enterprise.
Yeah.
I've tried several times, but I just can't get into that show. Although I've seen most of season 4, which is considered the good season. I've really been enjoying Lower Decks, and am looking forward to its second season, which starts this month on Paramount Plus in the US, and I'm current on Picard and Discovery as well. Have you read any of the Trek comics before this at all?
Nope.
Okay. I've read a few, but I wanted to call out 2 in particular that I have read that I really enjoyed. One is the Early Voyages run that Marvel did in the 1990s with Captain Pike and his crew.
Yes.
And it's basically the whole, the Strange New Worlds series that they're working on now. Before that was a thing. And that's, I think, a 17-issue run. That's pretty good. Yeah. And then there was a Next Generation miniseries that I really enjoyed called The Worst of Both Worlds, part of their DC Comics run, issues 47 through 50. And that was written by Michael Jan Friedman, who wrote the Star Trek and X-Men crossover novel Planet X. Yeah. Speaking of crossovers. And that one was republished by IDW in 2008 as part of their Star Trek Archives Volume 2 Best of the Borg collection. Yeah. As well as by Eagle Moss as Volume 91 in their complete series collection in December of 2019. So I highly recommend that one. It's kind of a alternate history sort of thing where, the Borg won, Wolf 359. So
yeah, a what if. Yeah.
So it sounds like we're both approaching this with slightly different it takes in terms of our Star Trek fandom, which would make for a good
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
But before we get into the book itself, I just wanted to point out that this isn't the first time that Star Trek and Doctor Who have crossed over. Doctor Who, of course, has referenced Star Trek many times, especially in the new series, including Rose with the Ninth Doctor, the 10th Doctor giving the Vulcan live long and prosper salute, and then Matt Smith referring to Star Trek many times. And then you have Nardole talking about the holodeck on Star Trek during the Monk trilogy. And then, of course, it's referenced in Doctor Who in several novels, including The Dying Days and The Left-Handed Hummingbird. In the comics, Spock's Brain was an episode that both Izzy and Destry had seen, with Destry saying it's her favorite Star Trek episode.
It's an unusual opinion, isn't it?
Yeah. If you really enjoy the campy episodes, then
Yes.
I can see why that would feel. And then on the flip side, in Star Trek, in the Season 1 Next Generation episode, The Neutral Zone, the first 6 Doctors, with Peter Davison's name misspelt, were referenced in a graphic depicting a family tree. But then this graphic was replaced for the HD remaster with different names, so it was a joke I think Michael Okuda had snuck in.
Yeah. It was interesting that Russell T Davies, in that first season of Doctor Who, he wanted to do a tie-in with Enterprise.
Oh, that's right, but it was cancelled before.
Yeah. Because up until the days of Star Trek Discovery, you've not had Doctor Who and Star Trek being made at the same time and both shows being aware of each other.
That's true.
So, yeah.
And then authors who have written for both franchises include Una McCormack, John Peel, and David McEntee, all 3 of which we've read.
Yes.
And then some authors have also worked in Doctor Who nods into the Star Trek novels, particularly those published in the 80s. So, for example, in the Star Trek novel My Enemy, My Ally, which is by Diane Duane, the characters watch a Doctor Who episode featuring the 4th Doctor, which has been adapted as a hologram program. And this was the proto-holodeck, which was seen in Star Trek the Animated Series. And then in the Star Trek novel Ishmael by Barbara Hambly, there are several Doctor Who references. The 4th Doctor shows up at one point. The 2nd Doctor shows up at a different point in the novel. Metabelius crystals are referenced, and Kirk recalls legends of a planet of stagnant time travelers in the far-off Casterbarus galaxy. So there's been quite a few references over the years between the 2 franchises, but this is the first official crossover event.
Yes, yeah. You mentioned David McEntee. I mean, he would often work into his new adventures references to the Romulans.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I am told, because they were slightly oblique. They were not references that I picked up on.
And then in terms of setting, so this is an 11th Doctor, Amy and Rory adventure. And I think takes place in either season 6 or season 7. It's kind of hard to tell. And then from the Star Trek perspective, you can tell by the star date.
Yes.
Because the 2nd digit corresponds to the season number. So this takes place in the latter half of season 5 for Next Generation, and definitely before the Iborg that we talked about earlier.
I understand that it takes place between the Outcast and Cause and Effect episodes.
Oh, that's specific, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which would be right around that mid-season 5 time frame. Yep.
Yeah, so...
cool.
And Cause and Effect, according to Wikipedia, features Ensign Rowe, who was one of my favourite Star Trek characters. I was looking forward to her being in DS9 when I heard what the premise of that was.
Well, she was supposed to be.
Yeah, she was, yeah.
And she pulled out, and then we had Kira Nerys and stuff.
Yeah.
Which worked out okay.
That
would
was
have been
right,
really cool.
Yeah.
And we should mention, too, that this was published, I think, in 2012, the 8-issue miniseries that we're reviewing today.
Yeah. Are we going to talk about the authors and ask before we get started?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes. So
Tony Lee, we've discussed before. We've done of his, blanking on the name. Was it Prisoners in Time? Have we done Prisoners in Time?
Yep, and that was written by Scott and David Tipton as well. So the same writing team that worked on those stories worked on this one.
Yes.
And then the art in this is by J.K. Woodward. And I think for the most part, it's, would you call it watercolors? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a painted style.
It is a painting style. Yeah, J.K. Woodward, he is an interesting cat. To use Radio Free Scarisms, he wanted to be a rock musician.
Huh.
And so apparently he decided to move to Germany because that's what David Bowie had done.
And David Hasselhoff.
Yes, yeah. And so he started doing expressionist paintings that he turned into a comic book. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting style, I think, that he's got. Yeah.
Anything you'd say about David and Scott Tipton? They're brothers, I think, right?
Yes. Googling Scott Tipton is interesting because there seems to be a Republican politician of the same name. We've encountered some of their work before. They are more Star Trek than Doctor Who, but as we'd seen in their Doctor Who work, clearly fans and clearly knowledgeable and everything. So I'm sounding very anti-Star Trek. I'm not meaning to be. Just...
Doctor Who did supersede Star Trek as my favorite fandom of all time, but Star Trek did get there first.
Yeah. Anyway, right. Shall we get started?
Yeah, let's. Yes. I think we're going to go issue by issue then, so we'll go ahead and start.
Yes.
And these issues aren't titled, so we'll just call them by their numbers. The version I read was the hardcover graphic novel version, and the only extra in it was a cover gallery. The cover depicts Picard holding a Season 1 Dustbuster style phaser, which is inaccurate, I should point out. The wrong phaser model, but other than that, it's a cool cover.
Yes.
So I'll go ahead and kick us off.
Yeah.
So issue 1 opens on the planet Delta 4, which is very serene. It has pink skies, and then all of a sudden in the sky you see a Borg cube appear, which would be very frightening if you looked up in the sky. So you're like, oh, here we go. As well as another type of cyborg. Chris, did you recognize the planet Delta 4 at all?
No.
Okay. So have you seen Star Trek The Motion Picture?
Oh, yeah.
So Percy's Katimba, her character, Lieutenant Ilea, kind of the proto-Counselor Troy.
Oh, okay.
She has like a bald head. So that's her planet.
Right, okay.
So it's kind of a cool cameo that we get to see the home planet of the Deltans depicted for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Kind of a proto-betazoid sort of species.
Yeah.
So they're under attack, and the attack comes without warning, and it's unusual for the Borg to attack so suddenly without, declarations of assimilation and stuff first.
Is that true?
Yeah, they tend to...
So they can give advance notice that we're passing through the area?
we're coming, you're going to be assimilated.
Yeah.
You are being assimilated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, so they give you updates.
Progress bar. How quickly are they carving up the planet? Oh. So the Prime Minister of the Deltans is taken to a security bunker awaiting Starfleet's aid, but then the base becomes compromised with the Borg and these other cyborgs, which Doctor Who fans would recognize as Cybermen.
Yes.
are beaming in. And then after this threat by this joint team of cyborgs, the Prime Minister and the small Starfleet team evacuate to a runabout in orbit and barely escape with their lives off of Delta 4.
So, meanwhile, on Earth, in another universe, the Doctor and his two companions, Amy Pond and Rory Williams / Pond, are in ancient Egypt, and they're trying to avoid being captured by Egyptian soldiers. And they escape because the Doctor's borrowed a pole from a market stall and is kind of doing Olympic gymnastic-y stuff. And the Doctor takes the Ponds to the Pharaoh's palace, and Rory creates like a disturbance which alerts the palace guards, and then the Doctor does some tricksy stuff and traps the guards in a tapestry trap. And it's all feeling very Moffat-y.
Fun adventure, yeah.
Yeah.
Like where you have a story open in the middle of another adventure sort of deal.
Yeah. It's a pre-credit sequence of the Moffat era, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And then the TARDIS team meets the Pharaoh finally after Rory manages to send some more guards away. And then the Doctor confronts the Pharaoh's vizier, who is actually an alien criminal. And not the first evil vizier we've encountered on the show.
No, it's not.
And the Doctor shows the criminal this strange green crystal that acts as an interdimensional prison cell. And with Egypt saved, the Doctor and the Ponds return to their ship. And then the Doctor touches the crystal and he sees visions of the Borg and the Cybermen in an alliance. And the Doctor labels this dimensional feedback and sets the TARDIS to investigate. And then they soon find themselves having materialized in 1930s San Francisco. And the Doctor and the Ponds, dress up for the occasion. And they walk into a bar where the Doctor recognizes that the bartender is in fact an android in a pinstripe suit.
Yes.
One of the ships that we see destroyed in orbit around Delta is the Lassiter, which is an Excelsior-class ship.
Whenever I see the word Lassiter, I always think it's a Neighbours reference because Lassiter has rocks up before on the show. I think possibly in Craig Hinton's.
The Crystal Bucephalus.
Yes, and Lassiter is Lassiter's is the name of the bar where the people from Neighbours tend to hang out. So I think that's Tony Lee.
Funny how all those soaps have different pubs that are central to them.
Yes. Oh, pubs. They are kind of open now, but also, So
we do also get some flashbacks to Rory's Roman past. He mentions that this isn't the first time he's driven a chariot.
Yes, that's true.
Which means this is set in series 6 or 7 after his adventures as an Auton.
Yeah, and that is the end of issue 1. Yeah, so we start issue 2. Yeah, so Data and Geordie have been doing a kind of like a routine scan of Data's positronic brain. I guess you probably need to do that on a regular basis, don't you? Just to make sure.
Regular updates.
Yeah. And Data is at peak efficiency, which is reassuring. And they even have a philosophical conversation about the needs of upgrading each other in some form.
Data mentions that he doesn't see the need for upgrades, I guess unless it's an emotions chip, but...
Yes. Then Commander Riker and Captain Picard talk to one another about a mining operation on Naya 7. So is Naya 7 a thing?
Not to my knowledge,
okay.
No. I think it's unique to this story. Yeah.
Okay. And it's a water world, is Naya 7, inhabited by creatures called the Dai.
Mm-hmm.
And Riker, Data and Worf beam down to the planet, and they're told that Starfleet's needing new minerals. And this planet, Naya 7, is a treasure trove of rare elements.
Yeah, and these fish creatures seem very similar to like the fish people in the Underwater Menace.
Yes! Yes, I was getting that vibe. Yes.
Or the Salacians, maybe.
I thought more Underwater Menace.
And then all of a sudden, so there's this mining operation on this water world, and the only islands are like the peaks of mountains, and everything else is covered with water. And there's an accident in one of the mining caverns where 22 people, both Starfleet and like local folks, are injured, and there are 8 deaths. And Captain Picard speaks with Geordie LaForge, the chief engineer, to tell him that they have to operate in these strenuous environments and extract as many minerals as possible because they're trying to build back up the Starfleet, which was decimated by the Borg attack in Wolf 359. So they're trying to build up their defenses.
What kind of deal has been struck with the inhabitants?
Yeah, that seems a little...
Colonial?
Colonial or exploitive.
Yeah.
Do the fish people know the true value of the precious minerals being taken from them?
Yeah.
It's hard to say, yeah.
Yeah. It's not touched upon, is it? I don't think.
Yeah. And we also have Picard wearing his open coat variant uniform, which he first started wearing in Darmok. So this is, definitely later season.
Yeah, I mean, the crew are dressed as to how I remember them, I have to say.
This mining accident happens, and Picard's attentions are elsewhere because him and Riker start talking about some upgrades that have been made to the holodeck recently, so they want to try out the new Dixon Hill adventure. So they all, dress up. Holodeck as cosplay.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, they have to go to the Replimat to get clothes replicated and then change and then go to the holodeck.
Yeah, and I guess it's more interesting than all the paperwork they have to fill in because of all the deaths.
Yeah. Yep. And so they're joined in the simulation, Riker and Picard, by Data and Dr. Crusher. So we're kind of getting the sense that this issue 2 is taking place the same time that issue 1 does, and both issue 1 and issue 2 kind of end with everyone kind of meeting up.
Yeah.
And the Star Trek crew who are enjoying the holodeck adventure are excited because the upgrade has introduced things like ocean scent in the air and like the smell of sourdough bread. So they're all excited about the upgrades to the simulation. The 4 of them head to a restaurant, but not before hearing the TARDIS's famous wheezing and groaning Vorp sound. And then the 11th Doctor, Rory, and Amy encounter the Star Trek crew, And then the crew at first think that they're faulty holodeck simulations that have become self-aware. But then they finally end the program, and then they're confronted in the holodeck grid space with the 3 time travelers and the TARDIS.
Yeah, so this brings me on to a question I've often wondered about the holodeck. It's not an infinitely big area, the actual physical holodeck itself. Because they're wandering around a bit in San Francisco.
Yep.
Yeah, I just...
So this is addressed in the Star Trek Next Generation Technical Manual in their chapter on holodecks.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So the floor, it's like a 360-degree treadmill sort of thing. So it's moving the surface underneath you.
Right.
So if you have 3 different people participating in a holodeck at once and they're separated enough, then you'll have like 3 bubble environments around each of those individuals.
Okay.
It's quite technical, but yeah, they have at least someone on the staff has thought through it.
Yes. The
Akudas.
You never see this enormous running machine on the actual show, from what I remember. But I'm glad that they have thought that through. But I remember Peter David, because in one of the Star Trek books I have read, which is the Peter David Borg book, which I remember being excellent, he'd said about the very useful Enterprise manual things, but I always got the feeling that it might have slightly inhibited his imagination because it was slightly sarcastic tone in the foreword. But anyway, right. So Mr. Worf escorts these mysterious guests to Captain Picard, who meets them in person. The Doctor introduces himself, and so he and Picard shake hands. And Riker thinks that Doctor might be some kind of ne'er-do-well, but Troy confirms that the Doctor is above board.
And Troy has a kind of a cool line where she tries probing the Doctor's mind, and Deanna says, "It's like nothing I've ever sensed before. There's a wisdom much beyond his years, and a sadness, a great sadness, but no ill intent, I'm certain of it." So it's kind of interesting that Betazoids can sense some things off of Time Lords, and I wonder if the Doctor was aware of Deanna, scanning his mind at the same time.
It's also nice to see her actually being able to use her abilities.
Yeah. Being effective. Yeah.
Yes, because I've seen enough Star Trek Generation to know that you can't take that for granted. So they're all alerted about the attack on Delta 4. So Picard, his crew, and also the Doctor and his own crew head up to the bridge. And Picard and the Doctor look on in horror as Delta 4's atmosphere is loaded with ships belonging to the Borg and also the Cybermen.
And when they arrive on the bridge, it's interesting that there's an kind of in the con position. So Wesley Crusher's old seat and Ensign Rowe's future seat. You see an Andorian on the bridge, and that's notable because you only saw them once or twice on the entire run of Next Generation.
Yeah.
There was I think there was an Andorian tourist on Risa, and then it was a body option for Lal, Data's daughter, in one episode. A couple of other cool things about issue 2. I really like the panel where Picard mentions Wolf 359 and half of his face is backlit in red, recalling Locutus, his Borg persona. And then I was also super excited that in sickbay, both Nurse Agawa and Dr. Salar got cameos. Nurse Ogawa, played by Patty Yasutaki, she's became a semi-regular in the later seasons of Next Gen. And then Dr. Salar only ever appeared in a season 2 episode. She's like a Vulcan and is the night shift equivalent of the chief medical officer. And you'd often hear her paged like in the background in future episodes, but you never got to see her on screen again. And that's because the actor who played her became better known as playing Worf's wife and mother of Alexander Kalar in the series. Okay. So, but it was really cool that both of them got call-outs there.
Yeah, it just occurs to me as well, you don't see Colmini, though I think by this stage DS9's happened, or starting, isn't it?
I think he was still on the Enterprise. No, DS9 I think launched mid-season 5 of Next Gen, so yeah, he would have transferred over, and then in season 6 there's a Next Gen episode where they visit Deep Space Nine. Okay. As kind of a, don't forget about this show.
Yes,
sort of cross-promotion, but yeah. All right, so issue 3 begins with a cyber controller who's fitted with Borg technology hailing the USS Enterprise from this combined cyber-Borg fleet and mentions that they have no means of stopping us. And knowing that they're not going to be able to fight off the entire Borg Cyberman fleet, Picard orders the Enterprise to retreat and hide in a nearby nebula. This reminded me of the opening credit sequence for the Lower Decks animated series, where the Cerritos comes across a Romulan Borg battle and in the title sequence, and turns around and heads out the other way.
Yes, yeah.
While they're hiding in the nebula, the Doctor tells Picard about the Cybermen, and Data scans the ship's historical records for any records of them. And he does find a log entry from, of course, the Constitution-class era Enterprise, commanded by James T. Kirk. And as Data starts to recount the contents of the log, the Doctor's overcome with a flood of new memories, and we all of a sudden find ourselves in a flashback.
So it's Stardate 3368.5, which I guess would tell you which episodes that's in between?
Between seasons 1 and 2, yep.
Oh, okay, all right, so we're in the good era. Okay, cool. So Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and Scotty are investigating a Federation archaeological team on Aprilla 3 that has lost contact with Starfleet. And they've landed in a shuttlecraft, and they're greeted by the project manager, Jefferson Whitmore. That's a very Star Trek name, isn't it? Who assures them that all is well and gives them a tour of the facility. And Kirk is finding this very suspicious, as well he might.
And we should mention the art style has changed for the flashback too.
Yes!
So we get, it's like 2D, kind of more traditional comic style.
Yes.
Which, in looking at it, I think, is this section also by Woodward?
I think it is. I don't remember.
I was looking at it, it'd be kind of interesting if the whole comic was done in this style instead.
I might have preferred it.
Yeah. Same. So Kirk's team returns to the planet after dark, beaming in, and they're trying to bypass an electronic security lock, and they're having some difficulty with it. And Spock's, trying to open it. And then they're greeted by a man who introduces himself as the Doctor. And he's wearing a very long scarf. And he opens the lock with his sonic screwdriver. And he offers jelly babies to the Starfleet officers. So we have the Fourth Doctor encountering Captain Kirk. And then they find, inside the facility, they find the researchers standing still, almost in a catatonic state, with small cybernetic devices implanted in their ears.
And Spock and Scotty are fighting with the Cybermen, and McCoy begins to remove the devices from the researchers and just generally start reviving everybody. But he's interrupted by the arrival of a cyber leader and two cyber nomads.
And the Cybermen here are very much that disco-era Christopher Robbie style Cybermen.
Yeah, sort of revenge kind of era, yeah.
Yep.
A firefight ensues, but the Starfleet phasers are ineffective against the Cybermen. And the Doctor uses the gold cover from Kirk's communicator to clog the Cybermen's breathing devices. Because he melts it down with a sonic screwdriver, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. And after the Cybermen are defeated, the Doctor slips quietly away. The alien equipment that the archaeologists were investigating appears dormant, but it isn't. And back on Picard's Enterprise, the 11th Doctor remembers his meeting with Kirk, but also remembers not remembering it.
Which is a very Moffat-y thing, I think.
Yes, yeah. And the Cybermen appear to have abandoned their pursuit of the Enterprise. And so Picard thinks that this is a very good time for him to take the Doctor, Amy and Rory to meet Guinan. I had read issue 3 before, but in my memory it was Patrick Troughton.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting choice to use the second Doctor here, because that would have been contemporaneous with the original series airing.
Yeah, but I guess as well you go for the big hitters. So you go for the current Doctor, and you also go for the one that most people remember, or at least looms large in popular culture, which is Tom Baker. So, and
especially in America, I think he's the most well-known classic Doctor, just from how often PBS would re-air his seasons. Yeah,
and also he has convenient stretches of time which he has no companions.
True. Yeah. And one of the alternate covers for issue 3 is a lovely homage to the Star Trek The Motion Picture cover, later reused for Star Trek Beyond, with the Doctor, Amy, and Rory on the cover, kind of that 3-person silhouette.
Yeah.
So shall we move on to issue 4? Issue 4 begins in 10 Forward, which, for those who might be unfamiliar, is the Enterprise's bar.
Yes.
It's pub. And the Doctor is introduced to Guinan, who's a bartender, who's L. Aurelian, is Guinan's species. And they start talking about the Borg-Cyberman alliance. And oddly, Guinan and the Doctor seem to be very familiar with each other, which can be attributed to the fact that they're both time and space sensitive. And Guinan knows that the Cybermen and the Doctor come from another universe, kind of like how she senses Tasha Yar's presence is wrong in the episode Yesterday's Enterprise. And it seems that the Cybermen brought the two universes together in an attempt to cause Armageddon on a galactic scale.
Yeah. We never really give more of an explanation of that, are we? I don't think. Yeah. Oh, I'd love Guinan. Even if the episode was a bit shonky, if it had some Guinan in, it was just fantastic just watching Whoopi Goldberg. And my mum, who was at best Star Trek tolerant, would always be kind of like, I'm amazed that they managed to get this woman on this program.
Well, the story behind that is she's the one who actually contacted the Next Gen because she wanted to be on it, and she told them through LeVar Burton as kind of like an intermediary during the first season, and they didn't believe him that she actually wanted to be on the show. And she wanted to because, for her growing up, she saw Nichelle Nichols, on the bridge, and she was just enthralled by that. And she remembers telling her mother, I think she says, Mama, come in here. There's a black woman on the television and she ain't no maid, was the quote she uses quite a bit. So just that, and wanting to pay that forward for a whole another generation, it's really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, it's my turn, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry. Captain Picard receives a message from Commander Riker, and the Doctor makes haste to the briefing room as well. And Picard still doesn't trust the Doctor. Guinan is trying to assure him that the Doctor can be trusted. And Picard says that the Doctor reminds him of her, since he doesn't really know her true identity either. Which are things I always just found so fascinating about Guinan. So it now seems that at first the Borg Cyber Alliance was heading to Earth, but it's changed course. Data tells them that the Borg Cybermen have gone to the planet Kogan 5. So I'll ask my usual question of planet names. Is Kogan 5 a thing? Or
I don't recognize it.
It's like you with English villages. It's like, is this a real place? Picard decrees that they go there at once and send down an away team. And the Doctor asks that he, Amy and Rory join the away team, as he's the only one with knowledge of the Cybermen, to which Picard agrees very reluctantly.
Where Picard's thinking about Guinan and their past, this is also set just before the season 5 finale, which is Time's Arrow, where Picard ends up learning a lot more about Guinan and how, almost in a River Song kind of way, she met him before he met her, and then following the events of that story, they're more on a kind of an even playing field. So narratively, his questioning of that fits into and kind of builds up what later happens in Time's Arrow too, which I think was smart of the writers.
Yeah. Oh, I remember Time's Arrow. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I have not rewatched most Star Trek Generation episodes I've seen. It's been a maximum of once, but yes.
That's the one where Data's head is discovered in San Francisco.
Yes, I remember enjoying it, and I think we might have rented that one out from the video stores. We often did if there was like a two-parter.
It was kind of more like a movie that way.
Yeah, you'd get the videos out like 2 or 3 years before the BBC would show them.
Oh wow, that far of a...
Yes.
It must have been weird having Next Gen premiere alongside DS9 too.
Oh, it didn't. We were a little bit of a way off, but they would be showing Next Gen from memory pretty much all year round.
Okay.
But like when DS9 was appearing in your local Virgin Megastore, like you knew there'd be a wait. But like people say, oh, but there's British people in it, and they actually appear to be vaguely British. So, Dr. Bashir. Yes. Yeah. So, as opposed to Patrick Stewart being French-ish.
Yeah. Yes, a Frenchman.
Yeah.
Wow. He used to swear in French a lot more in the early seasons, and then they kind of dropped that.
Yes, yeah, well, because it would make it a bit harder to market it in France, I guess. And also, like, probably more people in the UK speak swear word French than maybe in bits of America. And I guess, Canadians would also be noticing.
Right. So the three time travelers, Amy, Rory, and the Doctor, join Riker, Worf, and Data in the transporter room to beam down to Kojin 5. And they all seem fascinated by the transporter, which I would think Amy and Rory would be familiar with transporter technology or teleport technology by now, but maybe not, because I thought it was like in The Girl Who Waited and some other episodes. But
yeah, that's season 6, isn't it, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it's just before then, but yeah.
Yeah. So the away team comes under fire as soon as they beam down, and the group neutralizes the attackers with a combination of phasers and the sonic screwdriver. And then they find that the attackers were sentry drones that were set up to defend the planet, and the Borg and Cybermen bodies kind of littered all around them. And then Commander Riker orders that a body of each species be taken back to the Enterprise so that they can learn more about what happened on the planet. And the Doctor grabs one of the sentry drones to learn more about that.
And in the sick bay, Dr. Crusher is performing an autopsy on kind of like the bodies, and shocked to learn that the Cybermen still have human brains. Like, off to the side, Councillor Troy meets the Ponds and simply introduces herself by her first name, Deanna, and she asks if the Doctor takes them on adventures, and they confirm it and tell her of their journeys with the Doctor. And Troy also brings up another thing she sensed, that they are as protective of him as he is of them, to which Amy admits the Doctor is kind of alone in the universe, and he needs them more than they need the Doctor. So it's Troy being mum, isn't it? Which is kind of like something that she often does in the TV show. But
yeah, and it was a nice conversation.
Yeah, it is nice. It is nice.
There's another conversation at one point. I'm not sure if it happens before or after this, but where Rory has a great conversation with Dr. Crusher about his background in nursing and how they still need nurses in the 24th century and how medical technology has evolved. So it was kind of nice to see those character moments.
Yeah, she doesn't want him back COVID.
No, she doesn't. Oh. So meanwhile, the Doctor, Data, Dr. Crusher, and LaForge, have been working on the Borg and Cybermen bodies, and LaForge uses his visor in an effort to kind of gain further insight, and he realizes that the Borg and Cybermen were actually attacking each other. They weren't taken out by the sentry drones, and it seems somewhat unbelievable to them because they thought they were in an alliance, but the Doctor's able to recover and display some video footage from one of the drones that confirms this. And then Lieutenant Worf calls for the captain to go to the bridge because the Borg are hailing them. And the Borg wish to speak to Locutus about the possibility of a truce. And the captain abruptly cuts the transmission off, informing them that there will be no truce. And the Doctor tries to convince him, but Picard is adamant that he can't work with the Borg.
That's a very good cliffhanger. Also, I was surprised. I'm like, oh, what, hang on? The Borg want to be friends? Yeah. So issue 5. So the Doctor is pleading with Picard to open negotiations with the Borg, but the captain is adamant, and the Doctor can't understand his reasons. So then Guinan comes to Picard's ready room to tell the Doctor about what happened to Picard with the Borg some years ago. So they find out all about how Picard was assimilated and called Locutus, and because of his knowledge of Starfleet tactics, 39 starships and over 11,000 Starfleet officers were lost at the Battle of Wolf 359, including Sisko's wife from Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, on the Saratoga.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and this I thought was a little bit of padding because it went on for several pages.
Yeah.
And I was like, we've all seen the best of both worlds. You don't have to recap it in such detail, but
also maybe there's probably been enough detail that if you're a Doctor Who fan and you hadn't seen the best of both worlds, And if you were just getting this as a Doctor Who completionist, I think there's probably been enough hints. But yeah, I think you could probably take it as a given that you don't need necessarily a retelling.
So then these memories and experiences that Picard was forced to endure still haunt him, and the Doctor understands from Guinan's explanation, as to why he won't work with the Borg. And Picard wants to kind of return back towards Earth to aid in rescue operations for the planets that have already fallen to the Borg and the Cybermen. The Doctor arrives to tell the Pawns that Picard will not listen to reason, and he fears that they'll have to ally with the Borg or fight the Cybermen themselves. And then Counselor Troy chimes in and lets the Doctor know that there might be someone else who can make Picard listen to reason, looking over at Amy.
Yeah, so so Amy goes to Picard's ready room to tell him that she, along with the Doctor and Rory, are going to confront the Cybermen themselves. And Picard protests this, but Amy then tells them of the day that she first met the Doctor, that she was a child when they met, and later in her life, when she was in her 20s, she met him again and could see that he hadn't aged a day. I guess also just explaining things for
Star Trek fans,
yes.
Who might not be Doctor Who fans.
Yes, and she brings Picard to the holodeck, where the Doctor takes Picard into his TARDIS, and Picard kind of goes through the whole kind of it's bigger on the inside kind of thing. But yeah, I love that scene with Amy and Picard. I thought that was quite good and quite sweet, and I think spoke true to both their characters on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So then the Doctor kind of takes Picard on a Ghost of Christmas Future tour and begins showing Picard the horrible events that'll happen if they don't stop the Cybermen. So kind of like showing Sarah Jane Earth in the future in Pyramids of Mars.
Oh, yes. Yes, that was exactly what I thought that occurred to me.
So they visit Kronos, the capital of the Klingon Empire, where we see cyberized Klingons. And then we see Vulcans, Jadoons, and even Slitheen from Raxacoricophalopatorius, all assimilated. And they go even further into the future, about 100 years, and they see Starfleet Academy was the last vestige of free people left in the universe, and that soon fell. So you have Picard kind of watching all of this, through the doors of the TARDIS, as the last of humanity is about to get upgraded. And then with what Picard is seeing and experiencing, along with some words of encouragement from the Doctor, Picard finally changes his mind and concedes that he'll go against his better judgment and try to ally with the Borg.
So it's kind of interesting that the Borg don't seem to make any attempts to attack the TARDIS when it's appearing in all these various different planets. But
there's a great line from the Doctor where he says, we should help our enemies because it's what makes us better than them. That was a great line.
Yeah, very doctory.
And I had a couple of other thoughts about issues 5 real quick.
Yes.
The timeline seems a little bit off because I would think it would take the Cybermen at least 80 years or so at high warp just to reach the Borg homeworld, if they're going along, Star Trek Voyager travel times. And there's no indication that these Borg have discovered transwarp conduits, which later come into play when the Borg start working with Lore, Data's brother. And then we also get a cameo from Ensign Gates on the bridge in the con chair, formerly occupied by the Andorian. Ensign Gates was played by Joyce Robinson, who fans of the TV show The Amazing Race may remember as one half of the team Uchenna and Joyce. They were on 2 different seasons of that show. But she was a background extra in Star Trek The Next Generation for something like 40 or 50 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Playing this character. And Patrick Stewart actually was very adamant that she finally be given a line in the show, which she gets to say "I" once after 40 or 50 appearances. But that was enough for her to get her SAG card, which is very difficult to get in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Sadly, they have Ensign Gates in a yellow shirt and not her red color. But very cool that she has an appearance on the bridge.
Oh, and what a fantastic story as well. And I'm just so glad. Yeah, Patrick Stewart is a good egg. I've always felt, and yes.
So this brings us to issue 6.
Yes, it does. It does. So the Doctor, Amy, Rory, Picard, Riker, Worf, and Data that's a mouthful, all beam down to the desolate planetoid Tau Lee.
Also not a planet.
Fair enough. Where they meet a party of Borg, led by a drone who calls himself the Conduit, and agree to be allies against the Cybermen. First, there's a bit of hostility, as the Conduit was once a friend of Commander Riker, when he was in a human form, and so his ship was destroyed, and so he became assimilated by the Borg. That's quite a powerful touch.
Mm-hmm.
I thought. That's,
Yeah, and I think that was...
It's the guy we see earlier on, isn't it? Yeah.
The ship that we were... Is it the Lassiter?
Yes, yes.
So then the Doctor outlines a plan to catch up with the Cyber fleet heading toward the Borg homeworld, because they can't catch up to them using warp speed, so they would have to use the TARDIS to get there first. And the plan is to download a copy of the Borg's executive library, so their architecture framework, I guess, from a software perspective, which was destroyed by the Cybermen, which had earlier rendered most of the Borg collective inert.
Where's their backups?
Yeah, isn't engineering, right?
Yeah.
One backup means you have none, and then two.
Yeah. Surely you've got some kind of like backup and or distributed systems or something. Anyway, yeah.
So to get a copy of the Borg library intact, the Doctor proposes traveling back in time. And with Picard and the ship's counselor, the Doctor first stops at Naya 7, that earlier planet at Waterworld, to get supplies of gold, which is an effective weapon against the Cybermen. But the humans are unable to help because their agreement with the fish people on that planet prevents them from mining for gold. It's one of the few precious metals that the fish people recognize as being valuable.
Right. Yes. This really is the untold story of this, isn't it? So Picard begins talks with Selos, the leader of the not at all underwater menace folk, the fish people. But it's the Doctor who swings the deal before travelling back in time with Amy and Rory to the Battle of Wolf 359. And there, aboard a Borg cube, they encounter Picard, but this is when he's been assimilated into the Borg collective as Locutus.
Yeah, and the Doctor, when he hears that the battle is called Wolf 359, he mentions Bad Wolf under his breath.
Yes.
As kind of a little tie-in there.
Yeah.
And they're also going back to the very height of the battle, so they're not traveling back in time to the best of both worlds, but in fact they're traveling back in time to DS9's pilot, Emissary, which is kind of cool. All right, so I think that brings us to issue 7.
Yes! So issue 7 starts with our dramatic reading, which this month will be brought to us by the Drinking Hat, who have been on the show before. You can see Hannah from the Drinking Hat in Pretty Woman on London's glittering West End. So we are incredibly lucky to have her. Particularly because last night she played a Julia Roberts part. Yes, she can now put Doctor Who on her CV. And so, Big Finish, if you're listening, get in contact with the Drinking Hat.
Very cool. Yeah. So thanks to the Drinking Hat, and let's have a listen.
Told me this would happen. As long as we don't keep them from their assigned duties, we can slip under the radar. They are so caught up in the internal Borg collective consciousness that we scarcely matter to them. On some level, I think they may know that we are here, but they consider us to be inconsequential, not worth their time.
You may speak.
So, that's Captain Picard? He was assimilated?
Yes. The Borg assimilated him and renamed him Locutus. The Borg intended for him to facilitate the surrender of the Federation. When the Enterprise eventually destroys this Borg cube, putting an end to this Borg invasion, Data will help Captain Picard free himself from the Borg collective. But the memory of what the Borg will force Picard to do here today will continue to torment him for the rest of his life. Hold on, Bob. Stay still just a moment. longer, then we'll be on our way.
They seem so single-minded, almost peaceful. Watching them prepare for battle like this gives me the creeps.
That calm comes at the price of their free will. The collective suppresses the individual identities of these drones. The process of assimilation limits their abilities to have individual emotions. Everything revolves around the needs of the hive mind.
Do drones ever break free? Escape the Borg Collective?
Very seldom. Captain Picard is a rare exception, and he had assistance. The collective so effectively manipulates the decision-making and pleasure centers of the brain that those who have been assimilated do not want to leave. They would rather fight or die first.
But that's slavery.
It's slavery, all right. Slavery from the inside, the most devious form of bondage. Let me tell you a little something about the nature of the soul. But now might not be the time to discuss the philosophical complexities. We're here to perform a task. And according to Mr. Data's handy little gadget here, the path is now clear for us to move forward. Come on! Down this corridor!
Right, so there we heard the Doctor and TARDIS team sneaking up to Locutus and fully immersed in the events of the Battle of Wolf 359. We find that the Doctor is just starting to copy the executive libraries, doing the download from the Borg Collective. And as the Battle of Wolf 359 really reaches its peak, the Travelers slip back into the TARDIS and return to the Enterprise. And there's a brief moment where the Doctor is kind of implored by Amy and Rory to try and help all the Starfleet crews that are about to get sacrificed. But, you know, the Doctor mentions that this is a fixed point in time in this universe.
Yeah, it's interesting what you were saying a little bit earlier, going back to the fact that this is what's shown in Emissary, the Deep Space Nine episode, rather than the Best of Both Worlds. Because, I remember this from Emissary, but I don't remember that you don't see it in the Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah, you just see the aftermath, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of interesting to watch all of that in sequence, or if someone, you know, edited that all together. You know, those portions, it'd be a kind of a cool experience, I think, to watch it all.
Bit of a long experience, but so Geordie has got some bad news though, because despite the Borg enhancements just by conduit, the Enterprise can't achieve sufficient speed to catch the Cyberman fleet before it reaches the Borg homeworld. So the Doctor suggests boarding the cyber ship in the TARDIS. Once aboard, though, they are detected almost immediately, despite splitting into two parties, and soon find themselves up against the collected might of the Cybermen.
Yeah. We do see some Type 3 phaser rifles being broken out of the storage locker, so it's kind of cool to see those depicted on screen. Yeah. Because I think those originated in one of those technical manuals that I had talked about earlier.
Okay, cool.
But Rory and Amy are again handed Season 1 Dustbuster-style Type 2 phasers by Worf. But what's really funny is that they correct it, and by issue 8, they have the right style phaser. Okay. Someone must have given them that note between issues 7 and 8 that they were using the wrong Type 2 phasers. So that's kind of funny.
Or maybe Rory complained, or yes,
or some pedantic fan.
Yes, yeah. Well, they wouldn't have had time, like from a letters page point of view. It would have to have been somebody on production or something.
Yeah, or if they noticed like the Picard cover where he had the wrong phaser.
Yeah.
That may have given them enough time, but yeah. It's interesting that they correct that, though, by issue 8, so at some point they got that feedback.
Yeah.
I will say the older Type 2 phasers do look cooler, so I can see why they would go with those.
Yeah, it's interesting that they have the trouble to do that, but not the trouble to make the likeness of Amy look like Karen Gillan. That's an issue in this, I have to say.
Some of the likenesses are more on point than others.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think Karen Gillan's is probably the worst of the lot.
Yeah. It sometimes looks like Karen Gillan in middle-aged makeup from the was it the girl?
Oh, Girl Who Waited.
Yeah, the Girl Who Waited. Yeah. It's like, oh, poor Karen Gillan.
When you think about her, you know, she plays a MCU character, so I wonder if they've subtly changed like the depictions of Nebula to match Karen after the, you know,
they must
going forward.
Have, I suspect. Yeah.
Because sometimes actors their likenesses will rub off on the, how comics depict that character in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly, possibly not enough so that the actor can claim monies from it, but enough so you can say, oh, yeah, no, that's Nebula. So.
Yeah, like Phil Jimenez, his run on Wonder Woman, she started looking more and more like Linda Carter as that progressed.
Yeah.
So, but that brings us to the final issue, issue 8. The cover for issue 8 has a cyber controller with his hands outstretched, reminiscent of Omega's hands in the Three Doctors cover, which in itself was an homage to a Jack Kirby Fantastic Four cover with Galactus. So you see that referenced in the cover,
Okay.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I just thought it was a Galactus cover. I didn't think of the Omega one as being... Yeah, but yeah. Cool.
As we mentioned, they're split into 2 different parties on the cyber ship. So Worf's party, which includes Amy and Rory and a bunch of unnamed security officers. So you can imagine what happens to them.
Happy times, yes.
They attack the engine room and manage to disable the cyber engines. Meanwhile, the Doctor's party, which includes the Conduit, which is that captain who had been assimilated, as well as Picard and Data, is captured by the Cybermen. But then they're rescued by the arrival of the Enterprise, finally catching up to the cyber ship since its engines were disabled. The Enterprise was kind of pursuing at high speed, and the Enterprise lets loose with a gold-infused particle beam, not unlike the big beam that came from the deflector dish in the Best of Both Worlds cliffhanger.
Yeah.
This has the effect of destroying the Cybermen, but not the cyber controller, who is instead restrained by Data and the Conduit. And this allows the Doctor to restore the Borg executive libraries that he had downloaded in the past, and the Borg who are on board the various cyber ships immediately set all of the cyber ships to self-destruct. And then the 2 teams all race back to the TARDIS before the fleet explodes, but then Conduit announces an end to the Alliance and attempts to assimilate the TARDIS, trying to interface with the console.
Yeah, so Borg back to their old ways, I guess. So the TARDIS, being under attack by the Conduit, sends its energies into Data, and Data's kind of fighting back. And then Rory and Worf physically throw Conduit into the time vortex, ending the threat. Kind of like Salamander-esque, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say it was quite the sequence where, almost Bad Wolf style,
yes.
The TARDIS's energies enter Data, so he's going through all of that, and meanwhile Rory and Worf open the doors and just chuck the Borg out into the time vortex.
Yeah. So with the Cybermen destroyed, the universes revert to the way they should be, and the Doctor, Amy and Rory depart for their own universe. However, the Doctor begins to suspect something is wrong before he heads back to his universe. Because once the Borg have been brought back online, they know that they want to assimilate the Doctor. And to do that, they'll need to master time travel. And so that ties into the events of Star Trek First Contact. Or potentially sets up another assimilation story.
Yeah.
Which was my thought, I have to say. But yes, I guess it also sets up First Contact. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the
end.
The end of Assimilation Squared.
Yeah. Yeah, so what do you make of this?
I really enjoyed it. I found myself getting caught up in the story. There were a few minor quibbles I had with some of the art and some of the likenesses and stuff, but I thought it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
It ticked all the fan service boxes for me.
Yeah.
The scene where Picard gets to see inside the TARDIS, that great scene between Rory and Dr. Crusher talking about the future of medicine, and just some cool moments between the Doctor and Guinan as they try to out mystery each other.
Yeah.
Plus the bonus Fourth Doctor and Kirk mini adventure. So yeah, it had a lot going for it, I thought, and some fun fanboy moments to geek out about.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, I agree with you about there being lovely character notes. And I think that they've captured the various crews very well with their kind of their dialogue, I would say, and also I think certainly for the most part their actions. The art I did sometimes find a little bit of a struggle, as we were saying, but I don't know. I just could have done with possibly a bit more depth, but I think this is just like it. We're trying to tell like a blockbuster story here. We're trying to do first contact type things with the Doctor Who crew. Yeah, so maybe I am being a little bit harsh, one thing, but yeah, because there are some things that you can go away to think about, but there's not a lot.
Yeah, it's more just the novelty of, mixing the chocolate and peanut butter together, I think.
Yeah. Which sometimes with like cross-universe crossovers, yeah, I kind of think, oh, these are great, but I want a story that is worthy of the telling of this. And it is a good story, and I'm glad that... It's interesting that the Cybermen are the more powerful of them and the Borg. Because I'm not entirely sure whether that would be the case.
Yeah.
But certainly, because like in the 90s, we would feel that certainly some Doctor Who fans might possibly admit that the Borg was the Cybermen done right. But yeah, the Borg were scarier, I think, than the Cybermen typically were in the classic era.
And I feel like there was almost a reaction to that where, so take like Steve Lyons in The Missing Adventure Killing Ground.
Oh, yeah.
Where, describing the cyber conversion process, it made them seem very Borg-like.
Yeah.
Almost, it felt like a reaction to try and bring some of that into Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's interesting that Cybermen have the upper hand, but yeah, I don't know. I think you enjoyed it a bit more than me. I'd have liked more of an explanation as to how come this whole thing happened. and we don't have that, we even just had a throwaway line about the Time War or something.
Splinter or fragment.
Yeah, because it just could have had that, but it just seems to be like, no, this just happened. Yeah.
So how would you score this one?
How would I score this? So I think it's a 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed moments of it and everything, but I'm sorry, the artwork. Yeah, the artwork, and I could have just done with, as I say, some more interesting ideas. But I think I was possibly wanting something different than what the comic was trying to tell. But it's not the worst crossover between universes that I've read. I reckon you're going to be doing more than 6. I think.
I am. Yeah. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah.
It was slightly higher.
Yeah.
I don't think the art bothered me as much as it did for you, but I definitely would have preferred it all to be told more in that traditional 2D style.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we did get a taste of that in issue 3. Yeah, I think for me, I was originally reading this, casting my mind back to 2012. To me, it very much ticked that kind of blockbuster sort of feeling, and part of that to me is switching my brain off and getting out the popcorn and just enjoying it.
Yeah.
And for that, it hit all the right notes for me, and would give it an 8 out of 10. And it really did satisfy both the Star Trek and Doctor Who fan in me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might have been even higher had the art been a little bit different. And different style, and then some of the plot holes that we talked about patched up, I think would have helped. But
yeah. Whereas for me, I think at the time I did read the first 2 to 3 issues, and I stopped. And I don't remember making a conscious decision to say, oh, this is rubbish, I'm not reading anymore. But I think I just kind of I just got distracted by something else. Yeah.
Apparently, there was talk of a sequel crossover that would have happened between the 11th Doctor and Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, that would have been far more in my wheelhouse.
It was going to be called Domination, and it never got off the ground. So I wonder if it would have been like a Daleks and Dominion team up, or maybe the Dominators and the Dominion, if they wanted to go like a more humorous route.
Draconians and the Cardassians.
Yeah, that would have
been very cool. I think it would have been the Daleks, wouldn't it, if they could get Determination of State to agree to it. But or the Weeping Angels and the Cardassians.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yes.
The station's certainly big enough where if they had an infestation of angels, that could be a very creepy kind of horror story.
Yeah, the Bandrels again.
I'm trying to think like what other Doctor or Star Trek series combos would work well. I feel like the 8th Doctor would work really well on Voyager, just because they were both, that mid-90s sort of aesthetic.
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine Colin Baker and Picard, that would have been a few that could have made some lively conversations.
Well, we did get to see Colin Baker in a Star Trek. He did the Star Trek The New Voyages, the fan spin-off that was quasi-official.
Oh, yes, that's true.
He got to play a kind of an original series character in that.
Yeah.
And seemed to really enjoy himself.
Yeah, I always kind of find it fun when Hartnell finds himself on kind of like spaceships and stuff, because I always think of the First Doctor as being in Earth's history or planets.
Yeah, that would be kind of alien.
Him and Discovery. That would be.
That would be interesting.
Yes. Imagine William Hartnell would have things to say, wouldn't he?
And it would be cool to have like that Ninth Doctor Enterprise crossover we never got that season too.
Yeah, or Lower Decks and K9.
Yeah, K9 could very well show up on Lower Decks as like a background sort of thing someday too. You never know.
Yeah.
So anything else you'd say about the first ever Star Trek Doctor Who crossover? All right, hailing frequencies closed. Yeah. So shall we move on to listener feedback then?
Yes, let's do so.
All right, so it doesn't look like we have any new emails this month, but listeners can write in at andwbcpodcast@gmail.com with their thoughts about this Star Trek crossover or any of our other recent books that we've covered.
Yep.
And we'll be sure to share them next month.
Facebook's been a little bit quiet, but I mean, I think as ever, it's Twitter where the action is.
Yeah, thanks to all our new followers on Twitter. And we have a tweet from Emily in California. She wrote in asking about the availability of our book selection this month. The Doctor Who Star Trek crossover, as it doesn't seem to be available digitally or on other platforms. And this did go out of print. So once IDW lost the Doctor Who license to Titan Comics, I think they pulled the digital versions. So if you had purchased them previously, those still show up in your archive and stuff, but they don't appear to be available for sale anywhere. I did check a couple of stores in the Twin Cities, comic book shops, and they still had some of the collected editions as well as individual issues for sale, sort of categorized as back issues, and were pretty reasonably priced. But yeah, it appears that digital editions seem hard to come by these days, so apologies there if folks didn't pick this up when it came out. It seems to very much be like a limited time sort of deal.
Yeah, and it just makes you just think about how over time we have these new kind of like lost adventures. So yeah, in the 60s we had stories that were made that we'll probably never see again, and like in the 90s onwards we've had stories that are now very hard to find. They are possible to find, but you'd have to shell out a fair amount of money. Like some of these volumes of Assimilation in the UK are going for like 80 quid.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just like, wow, that's a lot of money for a comic book, for a reprint.
For something that's less than a decade old.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I can also see how something like this might be hard to reprint because there's so many different licensees and stuff that needs to get paid. So, yeah.
Well, I think that brings us, Chris, to what we're going to be reading for next month.
Okay, right. So we're going to be going for something else that's out of print. Sorry. However, it is, I believe, available in another format. We're going to be going to the Benny Adventures. And
fun.
We are going to be going to an author who was not particularly prolific, but is one of my favourites.
Okay.
Matt, we're going to be going Beyond the Sun, which is Matt Jones's Benny adventure. It's the third book in the New Adventures.
Okay.
For Benny Summerfield. So, So next month is Beyond the Sun.
Huh. And the completionist in me may end up reading book 2. Just because I've read the first.
Yes, that's true.
So I might do that real quick.
Yes, yeah.
But so we're going to be reading Beyond the Sun by Matthew Jones.
Yes, yeah. Matt or Matthew, I think. Yes.
Very cool. Matt Jones, okay. And is this the same person who wrote...
Yeah, I believe so. It is the same one who wrote The Satan Pit.
The Impossible Planet Satan Pit, yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, he also wrote Bad Therapy and The New Adventures, which is certainly one I remember very fondly. And we've read him before in at least one short story compilation.
Huh, very cool. Well, I'm looking forward to catching up with Benny.
Yes, there's a Big Finish audio adaptation, I think.
That's right.
Which was when I was alluding it to be in another format. So
okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Exciting. So for September, it's Beyond the Sun.
Yes.
And until next month, this has been Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London. Happy reading and stay safe.
Thank you for listening to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. Special thanks to George C. Music for use of their song Doctor Who Theme Swing Jazz Version. You can follow us on Twitter at ANDWBC Podcast and like us on Facebook. Help other listeners to find us by leaving a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. You can contact the show by emailing your thoughts to andwbcpodcast@gmail.com. And until next month, happy reading.
Anything else you want to chat about before we jump in?
Let's get cracking.
All right.
Because as soon as we're done, I'm going to go and have dinner with the drinking hat and thrust a microphone under their face.
That's right.
So they start from like the first Justice League one from like 1987 or so, going... Excuse me, there is somebody at the door. Bear with. Yep!
Interruptions! Definitely nothing to see here, dear people of the podcast.
No.
They're both for you anyway.
Oh, okay, all right. Marvellous.
Packages.
Yes, it was packages. Yes, welcome to Pandemic Life. Okay. Happy reading and stay safe. I long for the days in which I feel that I can remove stay safe, but I think stay safe is going to be there forever now.